Hey, how are you doing? Welcome back to another video. Today I will share with you free spyware removing tool for Windows 10 and Windows 11. I will also put a link for it in the video description down below. And while you are down there, make sure that you smash up the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you of course haven't already. Now the tool is called Shutup10++, and you guys can get it on this website, and as I mentioned I will also put a link for it in the video description down below. Now I'm going to share with you how to basically install it on your Windows computer and how to use it. Now on this website you will click here on this download button, just click on it and then just wait for a few seconds. Now you should get this file, so oosu10.exe. Just click on this folder icon and then double left click to install this file, and then here click on yes. By the way, guys, if you're interested how to make your Windows look like this, I made a video about it recently, and I will also put a link for it in the video description down below. Now, this is basically a tool. You don't actually need to install it on your computer. Just run .exe file and it should open straight away on your computer. Now here on the top window, we will have one button called Actions. Now if you click on it, you have here three options. So the first one, which is colored green, it's in green circle. If you click on it, it will apply only recommended settings. Then the second one is yellow colored and recommended and somewhat recommended settings. And also the third one is red colored and apply all settings. But I think before you click anything with this tool, I highly recommend that you click here to create a system restore point. That way, in case if something goes wrong, you will be always able to actually revert to the before state, so before you changed anything with this tool. Now here on the right side, you will see also recommended options. So basically the green ones are for yes, to basically disable, and then the yellow ones are limited and the red ones are actually high risk. So right now let's go through a few of the settings because there's quite a few of the settings to actually play with. On top you will also find two options, so basically current user and local machine. So you can pretty much also disable settings only for current user or also just the whole machine. So let's go first through the current user and then let's go through the local machine separately. Now, pretty much here for the privacy, I highly recommend that you disable and reset advertising ID and info. So make sure that you click on this. So once you pretty much click here on something, or if you want to turn something off, you will see this pop up that it's highly recommended that you actually create a system restore point. So I highly recommend that you guys do that as well. Just click here on open control panel and enable restore points on your Windows computer. Now on the right, we can see that we can first of all enable all of these options right here. So the first 7 options which are recommended to actually disable. So let's click here on disabled and reset advertising ID and information. Then we have here disable transmission of typing information. Let's do this as well. Disable suggestions in start. Let's do this. And let's also disable tips, tricks, and suggestions when using Windows. Let's also do this and also disable the possibility of suggesting to finish the setup of the device. I also recommend that you disable app notifications. I find them quite annoying and disturbing. So pretty much if you do something on your computer and don't want to see any notifications popping up while you work, simply just turn this option here to on. So it will disable app notifications. Then we have here also disable access to local language for browsers. You can pretty much also disable this one and also disable text suggestions when typing on the software keyboard. So we can also do this. Now for the activity history and clipboard, we have already here setting disable storage of clipboard history. Make sure that you put this one also to disabled or toggle this option to green, because here, as you can see, it's actually recommended to do so. Now we can move on to the app privacy. So pretty much you can see here that a lot of the options for the app privacy have actually this yellow recommendation option. But I think that we can safely just toggle these 3 first ones to on. So pretty much just do this and this. Now, if you want, you can also disable a lot of the options right here, which are disable app access to microphone, disable app access to use voice activation. But personally, I wouldn't turn them on here because they are actually colored in yellow. And then for the last one, prohibit apps from running in the background. This one has a red colored circle, and you can see here that it actually prohibits app from running in the background, but I don't recommend that you turn this one to on. Now for the Microsoft Edge, we can see here that a lot of the circles here are actually green. So let's go here with the disable enhanced spell checking. We can also go to up here and disable every single option for the Microsoft Edge. So here, this program actually recommends that you turn this all options to enabled, and it will disable every single option right here. Now for a few options here are actually yellow colored. For example, disable use of web service to resolve navigation errors. I won't turn them on because they are yellow. And of course, for these two red circles, I also won't turn them on, like the disable smart screen filter and also disable typo squatting checker for site addresses. Then if you still have the Microsoft Edge installed in legacy version, you can pretty much see here that you also have options for that, but any modern Windows actually has this new one, which is Chromium based Edge browser. Then for the synchronization of Windows settings, you have here pretty much every single option colored in green. So let's just turn every single option right here. And if you haven't seen already, you can see here, if I click on this, you will also see here a brief description what every single option actually does. For example, disable synchronization of browser settings is if you log into Windows using a Microsoft account, you can create identical settings for all your Windows devices under that account using synchronizations. Then we have here the Cortana. I will disable and reset Cortana here, and also enable this option, disable input personalization. Then we have here Windows AI, which is highly recommended. As you can see, it has this green circle to actually disable. So I will toggle every single option here to on. And now we are moving on to the user behavior. We pretty much have here disabled the use of diagnostic data for a tailor-made user experience. Now for the Windows Explorer, this option is actually highly recommended to disable. So disable occasionally showing app suggestions in start menu. Let's do this. Then we have here also disable ads in Windows Explorer OneDrive. I will also disable this one as well. Now for the lock screen, I will disable this one down below, disable notifications on lock screen as well here. And if we move forward here for the mobile devices, I will disable every single option here. For the search, I will disable search with AI in search box. And then here for the taskbar, you have here disable people icon in the taskbar, disable Meet Now in the taskbar, disable widgets in Windows Explorer. And then for the miscellaneous, we have here also a few options which are highly recommended that you guys can pretty much enable. So I will pretty much turn every single option here to on. Now we can move on here to the local device. So pretty much we currently just changed settings for my current user. However, if you want to make the changes for whole device, no matter which user is logged in the account here on your Windows computer, you can click here on local machine and disable a lot of the settings, which are pretty much the same as for the current user, but you can pretty much enable them here for the whole machine. So it doesn't matter which user actually uses the computer, every single setting should be as you set it right here. So pretty much you will repeat every single setting here that you've pretty much done here for the current user. I almost here turned every single green circle to enabled, so it will disable a few settings. And for example, here for the app privacy, we have here the options which are limited. For example, disable app access to call history, and then we have here disable app access to camera. So this will pretty much disable the camera, and pretty much no other app will be allowed to use the camera on your computer. So this is why this is actually colored in yellow color. Yeah, I will leave a link for this app in the video description down below. If you haven't already, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel. And if you need a brand new wallpaper, I made a brand new wallpaper pack, which you guys can check out in the video description down below. Now, if you also want to know how to get this transparency effect on Windows 11, I made a video about it recently, and I will also put a link for it in the video description below. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you all around in the next video.